I want to give you a proper intro.
Okay, let's do it.
So what I have here is you are a series regular on Pillow Talk.
Yes.
You have a special called Panning for Gold. You've done Just for Laughs. You're on Sirius XM, and you're like a touring headliner, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So that's me welcoming my guest, Chris Robinson.
Yo, what's up?
Thanks for coming. Well, the first thing I guess I wanted to say was congratulations. You just got married, right?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, me and my wife
It's
got
like you
married,
forgot.
last week.
Congratulations. That's great.
Thank you.
I always
Are
love
you
hearing.
married too?
Yeah, I've been married for 16 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I got married Christian young.
What was that? Early 20s?
Yeah, 24.
Oh snap.
Yeah.
That's still like classic.
Yeah,
marriage age.
Yeah,
I thought you
like
were gonna say like 20 or
no.
Like
I mean, I knew. So you don't know much about me. So I went to Bible college for a year, and there were girls who in first year university were already engaged.
So 18.
Like 18, 19, yeah, already engaged, which is like is crazy.
Yeah. And it's just because they want to fuck,
100%. They just want to. Yeah, they want to.
Can I swear on this podcast?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Okay.
No. I mean, so like I'll give you the Coles notes on me so you know like where we're coming from. So it's like I started doing comedy when I was 38. I'm 41 now. And before that, I was like a semi-professional Christian praise and worship guitar player.
Oh wow.
Like big evangelical events, and by Canada standards, pretty big.
Yeah.
And then I wasn't raised Christian though, so I don't come from a Christian family. I became a Christian at 17, 18 after I did 10 grams of magic mushrooms. So that was like the beginning of like that journey for me.
Yeah.
So when I started doing comedy, I just noticed that there's so many comics that have like a religious or faith background.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I got to talk about this. And so Courtney Gilmore said that you were raised Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah.
And I was like, hell yeah. I've always been fascinated by religions, but especially like kind of what I would call the off Christian religions.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I'm grateful that you came to talk about it. So, and I want to talk to you about comedy too, but like we'll just go chronologically. So, were you born into like a Jehovah's Witness family?
Yeah.
Okay.
So my excuse me, my dad was born into a Jehovah's Witness family.
Okay, maybe eat that mic a little more.
Okay, there we go.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, my dad was born into a Jehovah's Witness family, so it's my grandfather was the first one.
Okay.
And then I guess was the third generation of it.
Okay. And so did your mom convert?
Yeah, my mom converted.
Okay.
But she used to go to, I think she kind of did it a little bit when she was young as well, and then she didn't, and then she got back into it and met my dad, who had been in it for a long time.
So she had a Jehovah's Witness kind of a background, but
not fully.
Okay.
She kind of went away for a bit and then came back.
Because when I think of, especially
when she was like a teenager, and then when she met him in the early 20s.
Okay, gotcha. Because and I hate to use like stereotypes, but it's like whenever I think of like black and religion, I always think of like gospel churches with like a really really long name. But it surprised me to find out that there are a lot of black families who are Jehovah's Witnesses, like Prince, Larry Graham, like to name celebrities. Did that make it any better, by the way?
What's his name too? Terrence Howard. I saw Terrence Howard at a Jehovah's Witness convention one time.
Wow. Okay.
Well, I don't know if he was like fully into it, but he was.
Dude,
I don't think he got baptized.
If you're at one of their events, like that's big.
It's pretty big.
Like you're affiliated enough.
Yeah.
Because I would imagine their vetting process is, pretty significant. So when did you realize that like you were in a religion that wasn't quite like everybody else's? Because it's a small.
Well, I always knew it was different.
Okay.
Pretty much, like probably when I started school, because I wasn't allowed to stand for the national anthem. Mm-hmm. So.
And were you like briefed in advance by your parents? We don't do this.
Yeah. They told me that, and then I think they probably gave me a letter, maybe to give to the teacher, that just explained it. So I sat down anytime that there was a national anthem. But then as I got older and everyone would be like, why don't you do that? I'm like, how come I don't get to sit?
Yeah.
You know, but that, and because we don't celebrate birthdays or holidays.
Well, and I wanted to talk about that, but I feel like I might be getting ahead of myself. Is like, if for anybody who doesn't know, what is a Jehovah's Witness, and how is it different from like what most people would assume of Christianity? Because like when people think about Christianity, they're either thinking Catholic or they're thinking like Protestant of some kind.
Yeah.
Right. And so, what is a Jehovah's Witness?
So Jehovah's Witnesses, it's still a Christian religion. They believe in Jesus as the Son of God, and there's the Holy Spirit, but they don't believe in like the Trinity.
Yes.
I think they do.
They don't.
Honestly, I don't think so.
No, they don't.
Yeah, no. But they do believe in like the Holy Spirit and Jesus and God. They think they're different.
Yes.
Entities, but they also believe that Armageddon is going to happen, and only a set number of people will go to heaven, and that number is 144,000.
Yeah,
and then the rest will be.
I just want to show you.
Oh, you have that on your card?
Yeah.
You want to touch on that?
Oh yeah.
So the 144,000, they will rule in heaven with Jesus and God. And then everyone else who was good will be resurrected.
Okay.
And the earth will be turned into a paradise. Because they say, like, God's intention was for the whole world to be like the Garden of Eden,
Okay.
And like God, he's not going to change his plan. So they believe he's going to turn it back into the Garden of Eden. And everyone will just live peaceful on earth with, animals in harmony. And everyone will be vegetarians.
Oh, so
no animals will eat each other and stuff anymore.
So like the hardcore people get to go to real heaven, and everybody else gets to stay on Earth, but Earth will be better.
Yeah.
Okay,
but it's like, it's not even the hardcore. It's like you're just chosen apparently, and you don't know.
You don't know. Oh, okay. Because
no, you do. You do know, but the only way you know is if you drink from the wine during memorial. Because Jehovah's Witnesses, when we have memorial, like when we had it, like I'm not in it.
What is memorial?
A memorial is Passover.
Okay.
That's what we call it. We call it memorial of, or that's what we did call it. I still say we.
Yeah,
I haven't been in it in like fucking 14 years.
Yeah.
And I still like say like we and like me. I don't know. I don't know.
It sticks with you.
Yeah. It's wild. But so for memorial the Passover, we would pass the unleavened bread and then you pass the wine.
Yeah.
But you don't drink from it. Only people who are, chosen to go to heaven can actually partake from the unleavened bread and drink the wine.
Was there anybody in your church who was able to do that?
I only ever saw one guy who did it. This French dude.
Yeah.
Brother Frank Kerr. I don't know if I can say his name, whatever. But I remember seeing he like drank from it, but I was like super young. It was like 6 or 7. That was the only time ever seeing it.
But my thought is, if it's only 144,000 people, then wouldn't all the spots be taken up by now?
I mean, yeah, you
right?
So.
Like
There's a lot of great people.
Yeah.
But apparently, God comes to you in like a dream or a vision, and he'll tell you that you're one of the ones who are going.
Oh.
And so, like,
yeah.
If you have that vision, it's like, okay.
I wonder if it's just that you could just make it up. I'm part of the group.
I mean, who says, yeah.
Okay, that's okay. So yes, so mainline Christianity would say that Jehovah's Witnesses are not Christian because they don't believe that Jesus is God.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, so
like
Christians,
from the evangelical team or like Catholic, they would be like, you're not part of the group.
Evangelicals believe that Jesus is God?
Yeah, like we believe in we believe in the Trinity, and that Jesus is actually God.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Catholics too?
Yeah.
Oh. And my kids are Catholic too. I didn't even know that.
Oh really?
They just got baptized like a couple months ago.
Nice. All right. How many kids do you have?
2.
Oh. Putting a kink in your comedy? Yeah.
Like, what do you mean?
Like,
just having children.
Yeah.
And no, well, I always like, I started comedy before I had children, so
yeah,
I got the gears rolling and everything's set up. And then, now it's fine.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. You're a career.
I've been fortunate.
Yes. Your career is established.
Yeah. Exactly.
Gotcha. Okay.
But
no,
I still worked a day job up until like 2020, until like the pandemic, and then since then I've been fortunate enough to.
I really want to talk about that. I'll pick your brain on that in a little bit. I want to stick with it. So, did you ever get jealous of the fact that you couldn't do like Christmas or Halloween or birthdays, or like how did you feel about that? Because I remember being in classes with kids who were Jehovah's Witnesses who had to leave or couldn't do this or that. Or
I definitely felt left out, but it wasn't a thing where I was like crying about it or anything. I kind of just accepted that this is how life is, and I knew that I didn't want to live like this.
Okay, but I
wasn't like depressed or anything, like walking around like, oh, I gotta go and stuff. It was like, okay, all right, I gotta go. This is like the cards I'm dealt.
Okay. But you were never like, were you into it at all, or even from an early age, you're like, this sucks?
I always kind of thought it sucked.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if I was ever really into it, and then I didn't consciously like realize I didn't like it though until I was probably like 11 or 12.
Okay. And was there any particular thing that happened, or just a culmination of?
Literally, a kid just like asked me. He was like, "Do you even like it?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "No." Like no one even like, I never even like realized, kind of, it was just something you did because I'm like, it's just my life,
Yeah.
And like everyone does it.
And so,
or like all my family, and.
Well,
but my brother, he got kicked out when I was really young.
Okay.
And
how old was he when that would have happened?
He's 8 years older than me, so he was 15, so I was like 7, and but he didn't get kicked out. He decided to. He said he didn't want to go to church anymore, and my dad's like, if you're not going to church or Kingdom Hall,
yes,
like if you're not going to meetings, then you can't live here.
So, and that's what I was going to ask is if he because they practice excommunication, right? And so he was out of the house, So you knew that would be your fate as well if you didn't toe the line.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And also too, I saw how like it crushed my parents to kick him out too. Like I remember seeing my mom crying a lot and stuff, and I didn't want to do that to them either.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, like. I'll do it.
And what does doing it mean? What does it like? What is the life of it? Because I feel like I have a little exposure to people who are Jehovah's Witnesses, and so I know that like having a relation, like a friendship with somebody who's not in it, is not allowed unless you're like specifically trying to convert that person. Like having like an equal relationship isn't allowed. So what was your life like?
So I couldn't really hang out with my friends outside of school. And I could up until grade 8, but then in high school then it ended. I couldn't go really like hang out anywhere because they just didn't want me getting into trouble, because my brother was kind of like, he was defiant, you know, and he would around 13, he would just leave and like go hang out with his friends and come back like whenever he wanted. And they saw him going down like a bad path, and then he said he didn't want to go to the meetings anymore. So for me, I was basically just on lockdown. Like once I got to an age where I started getting interested in girls,
So it's like you were grounded but you didn't even do anything.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, but because of that, it makes you way more sneaky, and you try and find you try and find ways to lie to them more and go behind their backs. I would try and get girlfriends, but like I'd have to get girlfriends who like
I'd keep it hush.
Have to definitely keep it hush, and I would always try and date girls who lived close to the school. Yeah. So I could like go to their house on like lunch break and like, try and fool around and stuff. So I'm like, we can't do it at my house.
Well, it's funny. Well, yeah, and it's funny that you say that, because I talked to Jam Easy over the weekend, and we were talking about how like the punishment for just doing normal things in church like breeds deception.
Yeah.
Right? Because the consequences are so high that you feel like you don't have a choice but to lie about it.
Absolutely.
And so so you hang it, were there cool Jehovah's Witness kids? Did you know, like, were there kids who you could be like, man, like, we're stuck in this together? But were there other kids who were like super into it?
There were kids who were cool, but we never talked. I never talked to anyone about not liking it.
Okay.
And not wanting to be in it. Like, it was literally like my own secret that I like kept to myself, that I didn't like it. And then, you know, like my friends at school would know, like maybe a couple friends at school would know. But yeah, I just had to keep it under wraps. But there was some cool people who I had who were friends with. And then there's some who I grew up with who like ended up leaving.
Yeah.
And then that's interesting because I'm like, oh man, I wish we talked about it.
Yeah, you know, it's like, because I worked when I first started, like when I was in the late end of high school, I worked at a shoe store, and then I worked at the Keg, and I worked with a girl who was Jehovah's Witness, and she like worked at the bar and stuff like that. I'm like, how, like, she's like, my mom is cool with it, but like if anybody found out that this is where I work, it would be crazy.
Oh yeah.
So it's just I know that it's really constricting. So you weren't ever into it? Did you know people did your parents go door to door?
Oh yeah, we did that my entire life.
Okay.
Yeah, every Saturday, sometimes you'd like pioneer, which is you could pioneer for a month. Well, so on average you try and get like 10 hours a month, but if you're pioneering, then you try and get like 50 hours in the month. Okay. And then if you're like a regular pioneer.
What does pioneering mean?
That's it just means like going out more. Okay. Like doing more door to door. Okay. Well, we would call it going a service. Okay. So we'd go in service for usually like 10 hours a month, and then if you're pioneering that month, then it means you're trying to do 50 hours of service in that month. And then regular pioneers are people who do 50 hours every month.
Whoa. And are these people like more likely to be part of the 144,000 or something like that?
I guess, but I mean, it's very I don't think almost no Jehovah's Witness thinks that they're going to be part of the 144,000. Okay. It's like something that's like, you know, unattainable that no one like really thinks about, you know. Okay. Everyone's just like focused on the paradise on earth, you know.
Gotcha. So it's so out of reach that you don't even really think about it on a conscious level.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So no one ever talked about it or like really.
And what was your opinion of like other faith systems?
That everyone else was wrong and we're right, and
did you think that though?
Lost. At the time, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. And then even when I left, I still believed in it. Okay. But I just didn't want to live that life. I'm like, I'm fine with not being resurrected.
Okay.
You know, I'm like, and then like I'd have like fucking nightmares of fucking Armageddon happening and
really
stuff like that. Yeah.
Did you have like an idea of God? Like, did you at the time, or did you still like you had some semblance of spirituality? Yeah. Of your own.
Yeah. Yes.
Like that was informed by the Jehovah's Witness. I don't know what to call it. I don't want to say, well, it's not the Watchtower Society. They're just the.
Yeah, they're I don't know.
They're just head office.
Yeah. The organization, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't know what we're saying.
I think I was just more about like whatever your personal spirituality was. I have more technical questions. Do you know why the Jehovah's Witness, like the Kingdom Halls, don't have crosses on top?
Oh yeah, that's because we don't believe in idol worship. Gotcha. So we wouldn't give any worship to anything that's not God, and an object would be not God. You know? It's like only directly like praying to him, kind of thing.
Do you guys think that Christians like worship the cross?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, look down upon it and stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah.
And then they make the point of being like, because Jesus died on it.
Yeah.
Like that was what he was murdered with. Like, why would you want to worship the thing that he was murdered with? And it's like, it's like if somebody got, somebody saved your life and someone was about to shoot you and they jumped in front of you and they took the bullet. Like, are you going to wear that bullet around your neck because that person saved you?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's not a bad point.
Yeah.
But it has become the symbol.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So at what point do you start to, well, I guess two questions is like, at what age did you formally like end it?
I formally left when I was 19. It was like a couple months before I turned 20.
Okay.
And then, I was leading a double life though for probably maybe since like grade 7 and grade 7.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow. You were just going through the motions for like years.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd be good at home and go door to door, but I wouldn't get baptized, which was a huge thing. Because, when you get baptized, it's not like a whatever kind of thing. It's like you have to make the decision and fully devote your life to God forever.
In the way that they say so.
Yeah, in the way that they say so. And if you leave, then you're going to be you're cut off like forever. But people do it as like people do it young too. It's like kids who are like 8,
Yeah.
And you're like, bro, do you know this decision that you're making right now?
Well, and even in evangelical churches, you'll see kids they'll get baptized really young. And I'm thinking, you don't really know what you're doing here. Mm-hmm. And like the dad will be in the tub with them it seems a little crazy. So did you maintain a relationship with your brother during that time? He was 8 years older than you.
Yeah, so he moved out, and I basically saw him. No, we didn't really have a relationship.
Okay.
I see him maybe just randomly, like.
Okay.
Because he moved in with my grandmother.
Okay.
In Toronto.
Okay.
And
where are you from?
Brampton.
Okay.
So I would see him like probably every couple of years. From like when I was 7 until I was 13, but like we wouldn't spend time together. It'd be like we'd go to my grandma's and then he would like happen to be there or something like that.
Okay. And
but then when I was 13, we ended up staying at my grandma's for like 6 weeks.
Okay.
And then like I got to like actually hang out with him again and stuff. Because when I was younger too, why they wanted him to leave was he would like take me out too at night.
Oh, okay.
Like so he would like bring me around everywhere and we'd come back at 9 o'clock at night.
Is it does it need to be secured for you or something? Or
I don't know. It feels like it keeps lowering down.
That should do it.
Okay.
Well, you could like move it. I just tightened it up there. I want you to be comfortable.
Yeah.
That's the one. I feel like you're like giving a like awkward hand job. So at what point did you always want to do comedy? When did that happen?
Yeah, I always loved comedy.
Okay.
I always wanted to be
which was most likely not a sanctioned career choice.
Yeah. Yeah, no. Yeah, they frown upon it too,
Yeah.
Entering entertainment and stuff like that. So,
were you in it when Prince was in it? Was that a thing that did you guys care?
Yeah.
Was it a big deal?
Yeah, I think there was some magazine where he took a photo on a couch and he was holding one of the Jehovah's Witness Bibles.
Yeah.
Like new translation
Bible.
And we're like, oh, like we're snapping. We're like, it's Prince.
But
at the same time, like, we thought it was cool, but we didn't really listen to Prince because, he seemed kind of gay. It's frowned upon in the religion.
Well, yeah, I mean,
but it's like he was so feminine, he's wearing platform shoes and stuff. So it was like, oh, that's cool, but I'm like, we don't listen to his music.
Yeah, well, that's like the I feel like that was like the weirdest way you could like make up for not being tall is to wear high heels. Like I almost feel like it would be better if you were just 5'3". Than we're like, I don't know how you get away with that.
He pulled it off.
I mean, he did. I was a big Prince fan.
You were?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh,
big
nice.
time, yeah. I'm sad I didn't get to see him in concert before he died, but
He had a house in Brampton too, I think.
Did he? I knew
Like in the outskirts.
he was like married to a woman from Toronto for at least some portion of time, so he was here a little bit. Mm-hmm. I heard that there's a restaurant on like near Yonge and Highway 7 called Terra. I heard he always used to eat there, and that he would have all of the food in the meal separated. Like the peas would be separate from the steak and the potato, like every every
a plate for everything,
or they would be divided on the plate, and he would use a separate knife and fork for each item.
Damn,
he was one of those. Crazy. He was one of those types of dudes.
Yeah.
So when did you start to get into comedy then?
I got into comedy when I was 18. I went to Humber.
Okay.
The comedy program, and then.
So you hadn't left yet.
No, yeah, I was still in the religion when I started doing comedy, and I had to lie to my parents basically to get into the program. So
what'd you say?
Well, I knew I wanted to do stand up, like that was my only goal, and I wanted to start doing stand up from when I was like 14.
Yeah,
but I just couldn't, facilitate it. So then when I found out about this college program, I saw that they had a production course in like the second year.
Okay.
And my dad had a friend. My dad's really into electronics and stuff like that. He works at a big like electronic company. And he has a friend who's Jehovah's Witness who does documentaries. He helps with like production on documentaries and stuff like that. And so I was like, oh yeah, I want to do something like what he does, And I'm like, I was like, I'll apply to like some of these like film schools and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, in this comedy program, they have a production course in the second year, so I'll just apply to that one too.
Yeah. And but that was the only one you actually applied to?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I applied to the other ones. I got into what did I get into? York. I got into York for like film studies.
Okay.
But
not hard.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I got into York.
Yeah.
I went to York though.
Oh yeah, you did.
For history. It was boring.
Oh yeah. But I ended up like, I just threw it out. And then I was like, oh, I only got into this Humber one. That's pretty crazy. And then they're like, all right, I guess you'll go there. And then when you go to Humber too, for the first week, they just want you to do stand-up once on like the Yuck Yucks Tuesdays. But I just lied to my parents, and I was like, it's mandatory every Tuesday. You got to go to the comedy club. And like, you have to perform. So I'm like, Tuesday nights, I got to go downtown. I'm like, all right, I guess. And then, I just go downtown, and I do the shows on Tuesdays, and I try and like double up and hit another open mic that night. And then I started... we had like a sketch troupe that we made in Humber. Okay. And my parents came to the archival show is what we did. Okay. So we just did like a bunch of sketches, and they like met some of my friends. And then it was funny. It was a great show, and they enjoyed it. And they came to like some of my plays in like high school and stuff. Okay. But so they came, and after that I was like, oh yeah, like we're going to start doing like this kind of thing like sometimes too. And then so every now and then I'd like have sketch shows, and I do stand up on the sketch shows, and I go to like the Tuesdays at Yuck Yucks. Mm-hmm. And I kind of just slowly, gradually started going out and doing comedy like, 3 times a week.
Just started building it up.
Yeah. Until it just became a regular thing where I was just like, all right, I got shows tonight. Yeah. I got this, but whatever. And then.
Were you worried that you could only keep that up for a year, or at least the guise of it for a year?
Well, it became fine with them, I think, because, I was a good kid too. And I feel like being good and, sorry, the main reason why I could do all this shit too is because I got baptized.
Oh, so you did do it. Okay.
Yeah. And so that was probably like one of the worst feelings I felt too. Because the summer before I started Humber, I was like, all right, like, I'll get baptized. Okay. Because my dad, oh man, yeah, I forgot about this. skip over this part. But when I was like 15, my dad found like porn on my computer.
Oh.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it was so bad. And he knew about it the whole time too. And so, but he gave me a chance to fess up.
Oh, he was just accruing evidence.
Yeah, so we sat down and like we went over a watchtower about like pornography and stuff like that, and like why it's bad, and like all these scriptures and like masturbation and everything. I'm like, yeah, that's horrible. And he's like, do you watch any pornography, Christopher? I'm like, me? Are you nuts? Come on.
I'm just 15.
Yeah, with internet access in my room, with no blocks. Like, of course. Why would I watch pornography? And he's like, okay, cool, all right. And then he goes the next day. I'm like in my computer, and he's like, Christopher, like I got to use your computer in a little bit, okay? And I'm like, yeah, no problem. And I like go on like my files, and I delete all the like porn that I had like saved on my computer, and then I'm like, okay, yeah, like whenever you can use it. And I go and I start like watching like some basketball game in my sister's room, chill. And then like 10 minutes later, my dad's like, Christopher, can you come in here for a second? And like I was like, okay. I like walked back into the room, and yeah, he just had like the files all opened up, and he's just like, can you please tell me what this is? And I'm just like,
I'm mortified just like hearing the story.
Bro, like I just remember like just immediately like going cold, you know, just like start sweating. And he's like, no, read that out. What's that called? I'm like, asparade.com. And he's like, what is this?
It's a parade of asses, Dad.
Yeah, it's Flower Tucci, one of my favorite porn stars. And then we just had like a long talk, and I told him how I didn't want to be in the religion anymore and everything like that.
Oh, okay.
All that kind of stuff. Yeah, we kind of the truth just came out, and then he was like, well, you know, like you can't live here if like, you know, Alvin had to move out. He's like, and you can't go live with grandma either because she doesn't have enough space for you. So like, where are you gonna go? Like all this kind of stuff. I'm like, I don't know. I'll figure something out. But then eventually, I just kind of came up with a plan to. I'm like, it'd be easier to just buy my time, like save up my money, and just like play the game.
Yeah, a little bit longer.
Yeah, play the game a little bit longer to like be able to get what I want. Because I was like, if I get kicked out, like I'm like, it's too hard for me to just start working and like living downtown and like finding a place, all that shit. So I'm like, if I go to Humber, that'll be better. I'm like, but they're only gonna let me go to Humber if I get baptized. So then in my senior year, like I decided to get baptized in that summer before going into college. Yeah. And then that just gave me a lot of leeway. They were like, okay, all right. He's in. Okay, we'll give him a little like slack. He can like do this comedy thing, whatever. Okay. You know.
It's interesting because it's like a lot of, and it's not just Jehovah's Witnesses, but like it's a lot of religions where people think like, you're free to believe whatever you want, but it's like you have so much to lose.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
By absolutely. Leaving it, right? Like if you leave, like you lose every single familial connection, you lose every single like all of your friends, your entire social network, like financial, you'll be what's the word you'll be negative consequences financially, like you'll lose literally everything. Yeah. So when you did tell them that you were out, do you have a relationship with them now, or is it over?
So it was, I mean, it's not a great relationship, but it's better now. Okay. So for years, you know, we didn't talk. Mm-hmm. Like after I got kicked out and I moved in with my friend Paul Thompson, the comedian. And I went back and visited them like maybe like once or twice, like within a couple months. Mm-hmm. And then after that, my dad was like, you can't just like hang out anymore, you know? Okay. Like, he's like, you can't, you know, it was like a breakup. Yeah. And I was like trying to like keep seeing them kind of thing. And they were like, no, it's not a thing. Like that's it. So then for years, you know, I didn't see them. Yeah. And then I had my first kid, and then we kind of saw them again.
Okay.
And then I think then there was like a big push in the religion to like not, hang out with people who aren't in the religion or people who have left.
Okay.
You don't want them to.
I thought for a sec, I thought you were going to say they were going to tell people to lighten up a bit, but I guess not.
No.
Okay.
So then after that, then they kind of like cut me off again.
Okay.
And then we kind of had like a tragic death in the family. And then I think that kind of like made them realize that life is pretty short and they've kind of warmed up again.
Okay.
So our relationship now is better, but it's not like, I don't just like, I still haven't seen them in months.
Yeah.
But it's not like, it's not as bad as it was before. But like I'll still like send my kids. I can send my kids over there, to hang out. And like I got to hang out there like a couple times, and like I saw them. Actually, no, I saw them a couple months ago at like a family reunion. Like everything's fine. Like there's lots of love and everything. But I think because there were so many years of not speaking, that even though it can be like better, it kind of feels awkward.
Yeah, I mean, well, I wanted to ask like how you deal with that, because like oh gosh, it's coming up on I had to disconnect from my own dad close to like 5 years ago or so, and I had a really rough time with it.
Oh yeah,
actually. So it affects you deeper than you might think. Mm-hmm. How about you?
I think I compartmentalized it. Mm-hmm. So I always knew it would happen. So eventually when it happened, I just like tucked it away in like a part of me. But I was always, sad about it and missed it and everything. But it's something you kind of just like bury down inside.
Well, yeah, there's nothing you can do, but it's like you're patently aware of, like, at least with my own dad, it's like, you're not my mentor, you're not my friend, you're not my confidant. Like you see people who have these great relationships with their parents, and that's, for some reason, you don't get to have that. But was it an issue when you were growing up too, knowing that like this guy will cut me at any time? Like did you have a good relationship?
Dad. We had a great relationship. So I kind of thought that there was like a part of me that would be like, come on, man. Like he wouldn't do that for me. It's like, I'm your son.
Yeah.
Come on, I'm like your last son, and like, yeah, I don't know. I just thought that he would lighten up a little bit more, but yeah, he's hardcore. My dad's an elder too as well, so it's like it was very There's no playing around.
And
but yeah,
does he have? But are there impacts to him for having two kids that aren't in it? Or you have a sister too? Is she?
Yeah, I have two sisters.
Two sisters. Are they in it?
They're both in it. Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, they're still into it.
Okay. Sorry, I cut you off though. What were you gonna say?
Oh, I was gonna say, I definitely had like a breakdown a couple years ago. Did some psychedelics and had like a breakdown on the beach.
Yeah.
And Mike Rita helped me through it. But basically after that, I was kind of like, I like reached out to my parents more too and was like, we gotta like I want my kids to have like a relationship with them, at least.
Yeah.
But yeah, I still think about it all the time too, because my dad's very handy.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff that I wish I could just call him up or like have him like teach me stuff too. Because I wasn't interested in it when I was younger. Mm-hmm. But now that I'm older and like I have shit break in my house, I do want to learn how to do certain things. But
do you have good in-laws?
I mean, they're good people, but my wife's mother passed away when she was young.
Okay.
And her dad's he's an elderly man.
Okay. Yeah. So he's not going to be very handy.
No.
Okay.
Not too much.
I mean, thank God for YouTube though, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Did you find like getting into comedy that kind of became your new community?
Absolutely.
Yeah. How so?
Yeah. Well, like my friends kind of just became my family, you know, like, well, definitely Paul Thompson, you know.
I met Paul a handful of times, but I wouldn't say that we know each other.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, he's my best friend, and I moved in with him like when I got kicked out of my house, and you know, he would bring me home to like his family in like Ottawa for like Thanksgiving or Christmas or whatever, and you know, just accepted me a lot. And yeah, kind of that was kind of it, you know, just my friends were my family, the people who I hung out with and stuff. And
in what year was it that you started comedy?
2007 was my first year at Humber. Yeah, September.
Okay, so you're so you're like, I'm bad at math, but like you're 15, 16, yeah. Oh yeah, I mean that's so fun. I got married in 2007, so it's okay. So you've been at it for 16 years. Wow.
Yeah.
So, pivoting to comedy. So you just hit the ground running. Like, how did you find it at the beginning? Was it like were you funny at the beginning? Some people aren't. So what like did you have a knack for it?
Or was it a grind? It was definitely a grind.
Yeah.
But it was one of those things where I knew that it was going to take a while, and I knew it was going to be shit for a long time before I got good at it. Mm-hmm. And I think, and I realized too that I just had to like get out and grind more to get good at it.
Yeah.
And so probably in my like second year of Humber, that's like when I started like doing like decent. And then by the end of Humber, I had like my first like killer joke, you know?
Okay.
So like by the end of 2 years, I was like killing it for a young guy kind of thing.
Okay. Sorry.
Not killing it.
No. But
you know, like I knew I had a surefire like, you know, like smash joke kind of thing.
Gotcha. Okay. So you're holding your own.
Yeah, exactly. But I probably did like maybe 30 sets in my first year at Humber.
Okay.
From September until May. Mm-hmm. But then that summer, like the 4 months, I was like, okay, I gotta take this serious.
Yeah.
You know, like that's when I'm like, I gotta go hard. So that summer I just like went super hard with comedy and really got my legs. And I remember that was just one of the most tiring points of my life, apart from, you know, since before I had children.
Yeah.
You know, having newborn babies. But the August before I went back to school in second year, I was doing stand-up like 3-4 times a week. I was working at Blockbuster. I was working at Wildwater Kingdom. And I was pioneering. So I had to do 50 hours of service that month.
Holy crap.
And I was just like, that was just like the most tired month I ever had in my life, like before I went back to school. But
yeah, that sounds like my life now. I'm just constantly exhausted.
Yeah, just always doing something.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, I have a 9 to 5, and then wife, 2 kids, and then comedy where I'm out. I like most of the time, like 4 nights a week.
Yeah,
and sometimes more.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel
it's a lot.
Yeah, it can be a lot. When what do you think was the most valuable thing you learned from Humber? Or got out of it?
I mean, the best thing out of it was honestly the connections. Like just the people who we got to work with. And but other than that, I think learning to just kind of be nice and funny and you'll succeed, you know? It's like if as long as you're funny and you're working hard and you're trying to do well and you show up on time, then you'll succeed. Like I feel like that's all it is, you know?
Okay.
Because there's a lot of people who are super funny, but they, you know, wouldn't go to class, you know, or like wouldn't do this, and then they don't get to perform in the industry show at the end of the year.
Yes, okay.
And it's like, yeah, you could, like, who was it? Some was kind of unfair though, because like, you know Eric Andrews? Do you know Eric Andrews?
I know the name.
He's a really funny comic, Yucks guy. But he was in my year, and we have these stand-up showcases at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And he got the highest score. I think he got like a 94 rating. Okay. Mine was third. 89, I think, or maybe was it 89 or 91? I think it was 89. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Calvin Storchuk got number 2. I think he got like a 92.
You're saying a lot of names I don't know.
Yeah, Calvin, he doesn't really do stand-up anymore. But he scored the highest in the stand-up at the stand-up showcase, and he couldn't perform the industry show because he like missed a certain amount of days of school. But he was doing comedy outside of school. You know, he's actually getting real gigs and working, but you know that he still didn't get to perform in the industry show. Even though
it's it's interesting how, because I've been at it now 2.5 years, and I feel like I don't really see a lot of Humber kids at open mics.
Yeah, there's not many anymore.
It makes me feel, it's like, what are you doing the program for if this isn't what you want to do? I don't. Yeah. I think it. I like the thing that I kick myself about is not starting sooner. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you're young, you've got all the time in the world and energy to dedicate to it, and you're not. That's like maybe the old guy in me being like, why aren't you like making use of it? If when I was your age, I would have.
I know. That's why I always get so excited when I find out there's like a young kid who's from Humber and stuff like that, and like out trying to grind and stuff. I think Ben Bayfield's the most recent one who I know. I think Jacob Silva maybe. Yeah. I know Ben. Well, I met Ben Bayfield at the most random show, and then like I saw his name at Levity, like it said 2020. I'm like, how long is this? Isn't he only like 21? Like, so like he's so young, and he's already been at it for like longer than me. So yeah, what he's at, maybe 3 years now or something like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean
maybe longer than that. I guess if he went to Humber too.
Yeah, it's been a bit, but yeah, like that's the kind of hustle, and like you see that freedom, like man, it's how long did it take you to get to 45 minutes?
I mean, a good 45 minutes.
Yeah, like a true headline, like a true headline, created set.
I mean, I was most proud of myself the first time that I headlined Rumors Comedy Club.
Okay.
And that was probably like 10 years in.
Okay.
But like I was doing 45s before that, and like, I could hold the show. But that was like the one where I was like, okay, this is a sick club, a legit comedy club. Mm-hmm. They flew me in.
Yeah.
Well, before that too, I did like a couple clubs where I was doing 45 minutes, like the Comedy Mix and stuff like that. So maybe like 8 years, 8, 9.
Okay, but it took a bit to get.
Yeah, it takes a while. But the first time I did 45 minutes was probably like 2 years in.
Okay.
Some random show. I remember it was like we had to perform for like this atheist like group.
Like a club?
Yeah, club. It was like an atheist club. And it was Brian O'Gorman. It's supposed to be Brian O'Gorman, Hunter, and me.
Okay.
But then I think Brian didn't show up, so me and Hunter it was an hour and a half show, so we both had to do 45 minutes.
Gotcha.
And
do you fill it with crowd work?
I don't know what happened. I know they didn't like me, that's for sure. But I just remember being like, wow, I lasted 45 minutes up there. What the fuck?
Yeah. What would you say is like the most? Is there anything that because basically whenever I get somebody in here who is doing what I would like to be doing, I try to get as much wisdom as I can out of them.
Yeah, that's smart.
So like, is there things that you learned along the way where like something that clicked where you're like, oh, if I do this, like, I've met so many people who are like, do you write on stage or do you write?
Like kind of half and half.
Okay.
So I'll come up with an idea usually, and sometimes the idea is just like flowing in my head, and I'll just like write down everything immediately, and then I try it out on stage. And sometimes what I write down in my phone isn't even how it'll end up coming out on stage.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of just, talk my way through the bits, though. But a lot of times it's mostly an idea and, like, one joke, kind of. Like, I know where I want to go with this, and then I will see if that has legs and expand on it or abandon it.
Yeah, okay.
But I try and do something new every time, tweak something.
Yes.
Or just try and go into the set a little different, maybe a little riff off the top.
Yeah.
Even if you like just something new,
Yeah.
just to kind of get yourself out of the rhythm of just doing the exact same thing every night,
Yeah, well, I feel like I'm at a place where, like, I have a pretty solid amount of time, but it's being newer, it's hard to get longer sets.
Yeah.
And so it's like the stuff that you're really proud of, that you feel is the tightest, you end up doing a lot.
Yeah.
And so and then I want to get away from that. So I'm almost I've been really busy, like September through November, but I don't know I don't feel like I've actually been necessarily growing because I'm just doing the same stuff. So like I'm actually not taking on new book shows in December, and I'm just going to try to focus on like writing and open micing, and like I wanted to just try to create like 15 minutes at a time.
Yeah.
That I can just do all the way through, and then like if you get 4 of those, you have an hour, and if you edit it to something tight, well then you could hopefully have a good 45. So I'm trying to compartmentalize the goal of getting to like a headliner level 45 minutes. So yeah, is there anything that you learned in, like, how do you expand a bit then? Like if you, because it starts that way for me too. It's like I'll have a good idea but it's just one joke. So then how do you take a joke and make it into like 5?
Right? I kind of just let it go naturally, because I'll have some jokes that are stories, or it just goes, I can just keep going with it, or I know I can keep going with it, or I can expand on it, or like do an act out for it.
Yeah.
But then there's some jokes that I have that are just, and it's kind of just one-off.
Yeah.
A one-off little thing. But for the most part, it's just from trying it on stage, and then like that kind of second after you tell the joke, and you're just that like little bit of silence, and you get that like you don't know what the fuck you're gonna say.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a fight or flight moment.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes shit just comes to you,
Yeah.
And you're like, oh yeah, whatever. Like, you say the joke, and then you think of like the opposite version of that, and you're like, or what about this, whatever. And then you're like, oh yeah. And then, or 2, I'll say the joke, and if it has legs, like the first time I try it out and it has legs, then I'll just kind of be thinking about it throughout the day.
Okay.
The next day I'll be like, oh man, I'm so pumped for that joke.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh man, maybe how else can I do that? Oh yeah, maybe I can add this to it or whatever. And then kind of just like, I just let it marinate throughout the day until it naturally like builds onto a few pieces in my head. And then I'll go out the next night and, say that stuff. And then if it works, I'll cut something. But I mostly do it like in my head though.
Okay. And being in your position, because like I feel I don't really see you at open mics, how do you work new material? I'm always curious about that. For like when I see like the pros who are doing like these larger shows, but how do you work new material in that position?
Well, I just do it on book shows.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Basically,
I'll do that too. Like it'll be like a joke or 2, right?
Yeah.
Like you just slip it in there
I wouldn't do like all new shit
Sure.
on like a book show. But if there's something I'm excited about,
Yeah.
I'll be like, all right, I'm gonna try this one tonight.
Nice.
And like, if I'm really, it depends on the show. If it's like a show where I'm getting paid, a lot of money or something, I'm not gonna like just start doing shit and random stuff, because that's not my thing. I'm not like really good at improvising and crowd work and all that kind of stuff. Well, I'm good at improvising, but I'm not. It's not my forte.
Mm-hmm.
My forte is like my material, but I like being loose.
Yeah. And
then being able to like go into the material and stuff.
So you're not much a crowd work guy.
No, not really. No.
Okay.
But if something I react.
Yes. Okay.
So if somebody says something, or if somebody has a weird laugh, or there's a crash in the room, or something like that, I can comment on it and like we can joke about it and everything, but then I go back to my shit after.
Do you talk about being a Jehovah's Witness at all? Does it ever come up?
You know what? No, I never talk about it.
Yeah.
And there's just, I don't know. I haven't found the funny in it, but I want to tackle it. I'm trying to work on like an hour right now.
Yeah.
And then after I finish this hour, I want to like, I'll probably have to like sit down and like write some like Jehovah's Witness.
So you're working there's people always tell me that I should talk about it, about like being a Christian like praise and worship player and all that sort of stuff, but it is difficult.
Yeah.
I feel like as soon as you talk about being Christian or were Christian or whatever, I feel like the crowd like tenses up a little.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's tough.
Religion's always something.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People are like, "Oh, am I being offensive if I laugh at this?"
Yeah. You were just saying you're writing an hour. So do you like sketch it out? Do you just build it bit by bit by bit?
Yeah, I'm kind of just building it bit by bit,
okay.
Like adding to it and being like, okay, that's good. All right, I'll keep this. And then sometimes too, I'm at a point where like, you'll have bits where it's like, that works, but I don't even know if I like doing it. You kind of just got to do what feels good to you.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I'll have a joke. I'm like, oh yeah, that was an easy laugh, but I'm like, I don't know, wasn't as fun.
Over time, does it get easier to accrue the material?
I guess so, kind of, but I mean, it still takes me a while.
Yeah.
I did less stand up this year because I was writing on a show, so I feel like it definitely has taken me a little longer than usual, but for the most part though, it does it's like a snowball, like an avalanche effect,
Yeah.
I feel like the older you get, the more quickly you can come up with stuff.
Okay. And then build on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And finding ways that work for you to write and generate ideas too, because like now I'm at a point I'm like, okay, I know what I can do to generate ideas. It's like I gotta like go for a walk and not listen to any music.
You figured out your process.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
I was gonna say, how did you make the transition into like working in the actual entertainment industry?
So, pretty much right out of college, I did a short film, or not a short film, an independent film.
Okay.
And after that was kind of like, all right, how do I keep this going kind of thing. And over time, I, would get agents. I probably had like 3 agents who didn't do jack shit for me. And then my 4th agent actually would send me on auditions.
Yeah.
So I started doing like commercials. And after doing commercials for a long time, I booked this independent TV show.
Okay.
Like the sketch comedy show.
Okay.
And then
what was it?
It's called what the hell's it called? Almost Genius.
Okay.
Yeah, it was on CMT.
Okay.
Music channel. I think it still comes on at like 4 a.m, on
yeah.
like a Thursday night. But they I did that. And then after that I did a lot of commercials, and through stand up after I got Just for Laughs, then more like production people saw me,
okay,
got interested in me and like heard my story, and they're like, oh, like, I have an interesting background, like, do you have any ideas?
Yeah.
So I started kind of, pitching ideas and working with production companies, and
okay.
Yeah, and then from that, everything branches off of stand up though, for the most part,
Yeah, I had a commercial agent, and I dropped them after like 6 months or so.
Yeah, they weren't doing much.
Oh no, they were doing too much.
Oh,
like I was probably doing at least 15 self tapes a week.
Oh my god!
And do cops and dads,
inept
homeowner. Like I was so, and then during the pandemic they were like Zoom auditions, and so that was a little bit easier to maintain. But then I had to like leave the office to like go downtown to do an audition. you know, and it was getting to be so much. I'm like, I'm going to lose my actual job.
Yeah.
if I keep doing this.
Your job was cool with you doing it though?
Yeah, I mean, like I don't talk about my job very much, but like, yeah, like I can dip out for like I book like a vacation hour or a vacation, like like I took a half day today.
Okay.
You know, like I can do stuff like that, but when it's like several times a week, it starts to like add up, and it's, you know, like I don't need the money. And so like I wasn't, you know, it at the end of the day, it just kind of felt like the juice wasn't worth the squeeze, because it's like I'm putting all this effort into self tapes and submitting them and getting them learning the lines, and then it, you know, but for something that isn't necessarily, or most of the time isn't going to end up benefiting me.
Yeah.
So it's like I'd rather put the time into like doing a podcast or like trying to do more online content and building myself rather than building stuff for like using my efforts for other people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say that only do commercials for the money.
Yeah.
And for like acting for, you know, TV or film, you know, you do that for because you actually love it and want to build on that craft kind of thing.
And if I didn't have a day job, it would be something that I'd love to maintain. Like I do enjoy acting. Like I got into U of T in York for theater and stuff like that.
Oh, cool.
Didn't end up going because I went to Bible college instead. But like, you know, I have that acting bug. I do like it, but it was just, to me, what I really want is freedom. Like I want to be able to just do what I want to do. I want to be able to do stand up and do sketch and do a podcast and, you know, hopefully make money off it eventually. But, you know, but for now, little baby steps.
Hey, it comes, man.
Yeah.
It comes slow, but it'll come. Well, I mean, not slow for everybody, but
yeah.
I mean, it was a grind for me. It was a long time before.
How did the scene change before, like from before and after the pandemic?
Well, pre-pandemic, I think there's definitely just more independent shows, I guess, you know. And then I don't know, like I mean, people were kind of more chill.
Yeah.
You know. Well, I guess during the pandemic, everything got pretty tense for a while.
Okay.
And everything's very politically charged, but I guess, you know, it's kind of like everyone's super informed in the news. But that happened before that too, but I don't know. When I first started out, it just seemed more relaxed.
Yes.
Kind of at comedy shows. But I think that's just society in general right now.
Yeah.
You know.
We've just got to navigate it.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like I don't know how long we've been at it, but I feel like I don't want to keep you too long. Is there anything that you're working on that you want people to know about?
What am I working on?
Is there going to be a third season of Pillow Talk? Yeah.
I don't know that yet, but there's a great show I was working on this year called One More Time.
Okay.
So that's coming out January 9th on CBC.
Nice.
Yeah, so I got to help write on that show, and I get to star in it too.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see that.
Yeah, it's pretty dope.
Nice.
It's DJ Demers' show. Do you know him?
No.
Oh, he's a stand-up. He's from here, but he tours like all over the States and stuff.
Gotcha.
Now,
Okay.
Super funny dude. But yeah, it's gonna be a big show.
Nice.
Hopefully it's people love it, but I got to do some ADR last week.
What's that?
That's like I don't know what it stands for, but basically you go into a sound booth and you redo lines, or you do like line changes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You're doing like your own voiceover, essentially, right? So, to replace the lines that maybe weren't picked up as well.
Exactly. Yeah. Something was muffled. Then you got to say something clear, or like, I don't want you to say fuck. Can you say hell?
Yes.
Instead? Yeah. So I got to see some clips, and I was like, damn, fuck, this is so funny. And I'm like,
nice.
Yeah, it's great. So yeah, I'm pumped for people to see that.
Nice. All right. I really appreciate you coming in and like talking about your stuff, like about the Jehovah's Witness stuff. Like I said, like I'm just really interested in it, and
thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming, and hopefully I'll see you out there at a show soon.
Yeah,
I think the last one was like a weed show at Ajax. I think we did a Cringe Kev show.
Cringe Kev. Oh yeah. And,
I had just gotten back from Wonderland that day.
Yes. That was a fun show.
It was fun.
Yeah, I'd love to do one of those again.
All right, Kev, put on another weed show.
Line it up.
All right, thanks for coming, buddy. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.